Welcome to the 20th episode of Why It's Awesome, the spoiler-free show where we attempt to take something often easily dismissed and explain why maybe you should give it a shot. The intention with this series is to help new fans find something that they'll enjoy that initially they might have passed over, or so that people who are already fans can pass this video on to their friends to persuade them to give the subject in question a go. Woo! Hey people, we made it. 20 episodes. If episodes were years, we still couldn't legally drink in the United States. This momentous occasion is cause for celebration. So, much like with the 10th episode covering Kanye West, I am taking the show in a slightly different direction this time and covering something that I find people dismiss incredibly easily. Tabletop role-playing. Now, I imagine by just saying that out loud I've elicited scoffs and eye rolls from some of you, but stick with me for a bit longer because I might just give you something to think about. Just before I get onto that though, a quick description of what tabletop role-playing actually is so we're all on the same page. Tabletop role-playing is a form of a role-playing game in which participants determine their character's actions through speech. It was first introduced to me as imagining participating in an improv radio drama with a leader assigned to shape the world you're in and expanding on the actions you take. The leader in this instance is called a Games Master or Dungeon Master and creates the setting in which each player plays the role of, usually, a single character. Actions taken then succeed or fail depending upon the system in place and usually involve the roll of a dice. And it is awesome. However, before we get onto that, let's look at what could be some common reasons for dismissal. The stigma attached to it. Even in today's day and age where everyone is playing video games and people in spandex are ruling the movie and TV screen, this nerd hobby still kinda gets looked down on. It's a game based around imagination. Put brutally honestly, usually I find people talk to me like I'm a child when I try to explain this aspect of tabletop role-playing to them. The stigma attached to this can be pretty harsh. As a friend of mine once said after I mentioned D&D to her, isn't that the thing dudes do before they realise what girls smell like? While this type of gaming may be more popular than ever because of the rise and success of video games and fantasy type media like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, I found that there is still a distinctly negative outlook on tabletop role-playing games. Oh, we've come leaps and bounds from news outlets and religious organisations decrying it as Satan-worshipping cults, which is great, but it's still not very widely accepted. As example A, I was initially very hesitant in taking part in my first game because I was worried about being associated with it, which ultimately is a very childish and self-hating thing to do, but it's an outlook I found many people can empathise with. The reason the stigma and all of this doesn't really matter boils down to community. Playing these types of games instills a real sense of community with your teammates and other people who play these types of games, because the experiences you have playing them, no one else but other people who also play them will truly understand. The personal interactions that each session is packed full of give you experiences and memories that you just are not able to have anywhere else. If you play these types of games, you'll find very quickly that they are a social experience. Everyone at the table is there to have fun, and so that's what you all end up having. The mechanics of each game you play further reinforces this notion as well. There's a fantastic quote from Stephen Colbert that I thought for years encapsulates this very well. Tabletop role-playing is a whole new type of game. No board, just dice, just probabilities. It allowed me to enter the world of books I was reading. No invisible walls, no glitches, no dialogue trees, no forced A or B choices, just possibilities. It is the epitome of creative collaborative storytelling, because you're a real part of the world. You can do as much stuff as humanly possible in a game like Mass Effect, but if the programmers didn't anticipate one of your actions, well then that decision isn't actually going to have any effect. Tabletop roleplaying isn't like that. You have the ability to try and do anything you want, the outcome of which could drastically change the game you're in. No other experience can offer you that, and you get attached. You get so attached to the group you're in and the character you're playing. Going back to Mass Effect for a second, I love my Renegade Shepard, but she came introduced nearly fully formed, with me able to change a few things about her backstory and then decide on essentially one of two contrasting personality types. Here, I choose literally everything. Height, weight, eye colour, race, class, gender, education, work experience, favourite hobbies, friends, family, hometown, which brand of pub ale is his favourite, and you start to get attached. The decisions you make affect the story of your character, but there's real stakes. No reloading here. You mess up and that character you spent days creating and months if not years playing could be completely dead, with little to no chance of a revival. If the person in charge decides that that's it for your character, then that's it. Tabletop role-playing is so many things. It's improv theatre, it's a game, it's a social experience with friends, or it's a social experience making friends. But above all of that, it's fun. It's a group of people all on the same page playing make-believe because it's so much fun to do so. I've had sessions that I played years ago that I still talk about because they legitimately were so much fun. Some of my fondest memories are sitting around a table with some friends rolling dice. I have not yet found a more enjoyable form of emotional escapism than tabletop role-playing, and no matter what type of gaming experience you are looking for, I can guarantee you that somewhere out there, there's a tabletop role-playing game that caters to it. And that's it for another episode, but just hang on a second, because before I sign off, I would like to suggest some recommendations in case anything I have spoken about during the course of this video has piqued your interest. If you're looking for a quick introductory glance at the kind of thing tabletop role-playing is, in addition to being immensely entertained, check out The IT Crowd, Season 4, Episode 1, or Community, Season 2, Episode 14. For an actual look at a real tabletop roleplay being played, and being played very well I might add, look to Critical Role. A Geek and Sundry channel production, Critical Role follows a group of professional voice actors play Dungeons & Dragons, while being overseen by one of the best dungeon masters I've ever had the pleasure of watching. Not surprisingly, a group of people who get paid to play make-believe in their day job are incredibly talented role players. As well as Critical Role, Geek and Sundry have a few tabletop role-playing shows that are worth checking out. The tabletop episode on the Dragon Age RPG and Titan's Grave just being two of them. Finally, Roll20. So, maybe you've liked what you've heard and want to give tabletop role-playing a shot, but tracking down a group in real life comes with a whole host of problems. Roll20 just might be your answer. It's a browser-based virtual tabletop. Signing up costs nothing, and there's usually a whole host of people looking for others to join their game. In my experience, I found that the people there are extremely kind to new players, and everyone is very helpful in the spirit of tabletop role-playing, which is, much like most hobbies, to have fun. And with that, I must finish the video, although I'm sure I could talk on this topic for hours. So, what did you guys think? Did you enjoy this video? Let me know with a like, and if you would like to see more, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Is there something that you love that other people just don't seem to get that you might want me to look into and make a video about? Let me know in the comments. And, while you're there, what do you think about tabletop role-playing? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And why? What is it about this style of gaming that makes you feel that way? Leave a comment to start a discussion, and as always, thank you for watching.